Election 2024, we are following the campaign trail. Good evening to you. Mia Grady here, along with Lynn Cannon tonight. This evening, the stage is set. You're taking a live look at the George R. Brown Convention Center inside, where the presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris will address sisters of the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority at their 60th annual Boule, or convention. She attended a private fundraiser. Kamala Harris did earlier this evening. She spoke briefly about Hurricane Beryl recovery efforts before turning to the election. Harris told donors this evening in Houston the campaign is not about Democrats versus Trump, but about two different visions for the future of America.
The vice president arriving on Air Force Two this afternoon at Bush Airport. She was then greeted by Congressman Al Green, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo, Fort Bend County Judge KP George, and Houston Mayor John Whitmire. Now, this is the vice president's second visit to Houston just in the past 7 days. During her last visit, she spoke at the convention for the American Federation of Teachers that was also held at the GRB.
Meanwhile, tonight, former President Trump is back in Pennsylvania for a rally of his own. The former president spent part of his day at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention in Chicago, taking part in what quickly became a combative panel discussion. Things got heated right from the start.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. Why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question.
Former President Trump then made a comment about VP Kamala Harris's race, saying, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black. Again, tonight, the former president, is in Harrisburg. It is the first time back in Pennsylvania for him since the assassination attempt.
As for the vice president, after her speech in just a few moments, she will deliver a eulogy tomorrow morning at the funeral service for the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Several other well-known politicians are expected to be there. President Biden, he was in Houston on Monday to pay his respects to the longtime Congresswoman as she lie in state at City Hall. And he met with Jackson Lee's family. The president calling the Congresswoman fearless, proud, and bold. Again, tomorrow, Vice President Harris will deliver a eulogy at Sheila Jackson Lee's funeral. KHOU 11 will be there for this celebration of life. You can watch it live on KHOU 11, and we'll be streaming it on KHOU.com and KHOU 11 Plus.
Again, we want to bring to you live pictures from the George R. Brown Convention Center, where an audience of about 200 to 300 guests, we're guessing at this time, are awaiting VP Harris's arrival. Again, this is the 60th annual Boule, or biennial celebration of the sorority Sigma Gamma Rho. And this is an event very similar to a convention that they have over the course of several days. We see the ladies now standing, so perhaps VP Harris is making her arrival and entry as we speak.
Thank you all so very much. You may be seated. Greetings. My name is Rashida S. Liberty. I am the 25th International Grand Basilisk, the International President of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Sigma Gamma Rho was founded in 1922 on the campus of Butler University by 7 trailblazing educators. The global sisterhood has remained committed to the service for a century, with over 100,000 inducted members globally. I stand here today not only representing the greater women of Sigma Gamma Rho, but women across this nation. Women who are fighting for equal pay in the workplace. Women who are fighting for the right to control the decisions for their bodies. Women who are fighting to leave this world a better place for the next generation. There is a woman who for decades has taught not only women's rights or fought for not only women's rights, but the rights of all people. She is an alumna of the Howard University. She is a member of the Divine Nine family. She is embedded into the fabric of our culture. She is a change maker, a fearless leader, and a woman we can all be proud of. And now, it is my distinct honor and my privilege to introduce the first woman to be elected as Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Good to be with all the leaders who are here. I want to thank the International President, Rashida S. Liberty. I thank you for your friendship and your leadership and for the warm welcome this evening. Thank you so very much. And to the International Board of Directors, to the Council of Presidents of the National Pan-Hellenic Council, and to Congresswoman Robin Kelly, it is my great honor to be with everyone this evening. And please have a seat. I thought everyone was standing. If you have a seat, please have a seat. Thank you all. And to all the members of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. It is so good to be with you this evening, and I say that as a proud member of the Divine Nine. And when I look out at everyone here, I see family. And you know, we share a vision for the future of our nation. Ours is a vision of a future in which we realize the promise of America. And aren't so many of us empirical evidence of the promise of America? A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice, not for some, but for all. Since 1922, the members of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated have helped realize that promise. Generation after generation, the members of this sorority have shown that greater service brings greater progress. I know. In the 1920s and 30s, you created college scholarships for young black women. In the 1960s and 70s, you launched a nationwide program to help folks get a job. In the 1990s, you formed a partnership with St. Jude to fight childhood cancer. And in 2020, you continued your leadership when, during the height of a pandemic, you helped elect Joe Biden President of the United States, and me as the first woman Vice President of the United States. And for all of those reasons, I'm here to thank you for your long-standing service to our nation, and to declare in this moment that our nation needs your leadership once again. In this moment, we face a choice between two very different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. And we in this room are fighting for the future. A future with affordable health care, affordable child care, and paid leave. And we fight for a future with equal pay for women, because we know when we lift up the economic status of women, we lift up the economic status of children, of families, and all of society benefits. We here work for a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead, to build a business, to own a home, and to build intergenerational wealth. We here see a future where we bring down the cost of living for hardworking Americans, which is why we are fighting to ban more of those hidden fees and surprise late charges that banks and other companies use to pad their profits, to take on corporate landlords and cap rent increases, and take on big pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans. All of this to say, we are working to build up, not tear down, and to build up America's families and America's middle class. Because we know when our middle class is strong, America is strong. But as we work to move our nation forward, let us be clear, there are those who are trying to take us backward. You may have seen their agenda. They call it Project 2025. Right. And it is a 900-page agenda of extremism. Project 2025 would raise taxes on middle-class families and cut taxes for billionaires, eliminate the Department of Education, and end programs like Head Start, which of course would take away preschool from hundreds of thousands of our children. All of this to build on what Donald Trump did in his first term. When he was president, he gave tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. He tried to cut Social Security and Medicare every single year. And he and his allies have tried more than 60 times to end the Affordable Care Act and to take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Remember what that was? Denying children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. And you know, America has tried these failed policies before, and we are not going back. We are not going back. We all here remember what those 4 years were like, and today we were given yet another reminder. This afternoon, Donald Trump spoke at the annual meeting of the National Association of Black Journalists. And it was the same old show. The divisiveness and the disrespect. And let me just say, the American people deserve better. The American people deserve better. The American people deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with the facts. We deserve a leader who understands that our differences do not divide us. They are an essential source of our strength. So I say, to Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, ours is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. Across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won fundamental freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride, the freedom to learn and acknowledge America's true and full history, and the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. A fight for our most fundamental freedoms. And to this room of leaders, I say, bring it on. Bring it on, those who would dare to attack these fundamental freedoms. Because we here, we love our country. We love our country. And I believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. So we, who believe in the sacred freedom to vote, will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We, who believe that every person should be free from gun violence, will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. And we, who believe in reproductive freedom, will fight for a woman's right to choose, because we know one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. Because we know faith and freedom can coexist. And understand, when he was president, Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court, the court of Thurgood and RBG, because he intended for them to overturn the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. And now, in the South, where the majority of black women live, every state except for Virginia has an abortion ban. Many with no exception even for rape and incest. And now he intends to pass a nationwide abortion ban, to ban access to fundamental health care in every state. But I will not let that happen. I promise you, when I am President of the United States, and when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, I will sign it into law. So in this, you're welcome. So in this moment, our fundamental freedoms are on the ballot, and so is our democracy. This month, and it really bears, just with all that's been happening, to for a moment pause and think about it. This month, the Supreme Court basically just told the former president, who has been convicted of fraud, that going forward, he will be immune for activity we know he is prepared to engage in if he gets back into the White House. Recall, Donald Trump has openly vowed, if reelected, to be a dictator on day one, that he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, that he will round up peaceful protesters and throw them out of our country, and even, quote, terminate the United States Constitution. So in conclusion, I say to the incredible members of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, there is so much at stake in this moment. Election day is in 97 days. And in this moment, once again, our nation is counting on you to energize, to organize, and to mobilize, to register folks to vote and get them to the polls, because when we organize, mountains move. When we mobilize, nations change. And when we vote, we make history. So let us continue to fight with faith, with optimism, and with hope. And when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you.